Cheese. Cheese. Cheese.
What's up, Cheese Squad? This is Cheesehead number 2, and I'm starting a new series on Total War Shogun 2. So yeah, this is the first battle. I'm gonna do 3 for this video. So I'm gonna start off with using my cavalry to surround him. And that would allow for a nice charge, and that would usually win me the battle. Little did I know he had some cavalry in the forest, but we'll get to that later. So as you can see, I'm in this really long line here. Normally my lines are a lot shorter than this. Because my original plan was to have a line long enough to capture both of these buildings, the shrine and the workshop, at the same time. That didn't really work, because he had a lot of ranged units, 2 veteran bow warrior monks, and a veteran matchlock warrior monk. So he could have easily shot me if I stepped any closer, so I kind of just stopped, like, right here. Basically, at this point, what I'm trying to do is wait for my cavalry to get around the flanks. And then out of nowhere, 3 veteran Yari cavalry come after my 1 Yari cavalry. Luckily, since I was waiting for my cavalry to go around the flanks, I was looking at my cavalry, and I noticed this cavalry charge. So I send my cavalry back. And they have to run all the way back to my infantry to get the protection from the spears, because he chases them really far forward. I would not recommend going this close to the army here, but he does. So now what I'm trying to do, my general is a bow general with 200 range, so I'm just trying to skirmish out his bow warrior monks, who only have a range of 175. Even though he has the range advantage in this one, he doesn't really use it very well. He's gonna keep his matchlocks back here. He's not gonna send them forward at all throughout most of this battle. And he's gonna send his bows up, but he's gonna send them to attack my general.
Our general.
So at this point, this Yari was actually taking some of the fire. I ordered him to fire at the bow warrior monks, but the bow warrior monks were behind this Yari, so they actually took like 30 casualties, so the bow warrior monks only took 19. And now they are doing this fire attack. Luckily my general is uphill slightly, as you can see from the firing angle here, so they're not going to get the best of shots. Like my general has this amazing firing angle. But they're still gonna get an amazing fire attack, take out 7 men there. And, you know, with only 40 men in the unit, that's a lot. So my general's gonna retreat out of the range of his bow warrior monks. And I'm just gonna try and skirmish, so I'm gonna bring them back, fire, and then retreat again. But he is going to move his bows even further up. And he's gonna move his cavalry up. I'm not really sure what he's doing with his cavalry. I don't think he was sure either. He's kind of moving them, like, retreating, and then moving forward, and then retreating. So I don't know what he was doing with that. His spears are coming to cover his bows. I see a lot of players bring their bows up, and then forget to also bring their spears up, and then I cavalry charge straight into them. But he remembered, and he brought his spears up. So now I'm gonna bring my bows up, and they're gonna fire at the bow warrior monks. I forgot to put them in loose formation, though, so they're gonna take quite the number of casualties. So he's gonna retreat his bow warrior monks back now, to get out of range of my bow samurai. Because bow warrior monks have a longer range than that, so good on him. And he's also going to cavalry charge my bow samurai. He shouldn't have done all 3 here. He charged all 3 at the same time like this. One of them would have been doing the same amount of damage to my bows, just about. Because these 2 are just going to charge into the back of his own cavalry. And since he charged all 3 in, I'm gonna get a nice side cavalry charge right into his cavalry. I'm also gonna send up my spears to help the cavalry battle there. Try and get him to retreat, maybe. And then my general here is gonna block their escape. So they have nowhere to run, and I think he's targeting my general right now. Not a very good move on his part. He's already has his cavalry routing right now. And he's gonna do a pretty bad move here, and he's gonna use his bows to fire at my general. They have a great, well, they don't have the best of firing angles, but they do get to fire straight into the back of my general here. And they're going to do a lot of damage to it when this cavalry battle is over. He's going to have like 8 men. But that leaves my elite, rank 8, rank 7, Katana Samurai perfectly intact. And he's also going to leave his matchlocks back here, just going to completely forget about those. So now his cavalry is getting absolutely wrecked, especially by this Yari Samurai. They've only lost 5 men, this Yari Samurai. And I'd say at least a few of those were from the Bow Warrior Monks missing and hitting, like, some of these guys. So his cavalry is gonna rout now. This one will rally and come back later, but it will be pretty weak at about 1/4 strength. So now his cavalry is pretty much gone. So I'm about to start the attack. Because before, if I did a cavalry charge in the back, he could have sent his own cavalry to counter them. Now he doesn't really have cavalry, so I'll be able to start the next step for the plan. So before I do that, though, I just wanted to wait for this Yari Samurai to kill this Yari Ashigaru. So I kind of just delay the attack by a long time. I'm gonna speed this up, actually, because I wait a really long time. Probably shouldn't have waited there. So now I do start the attack. So what I'm gonna try and do is I'm just gonna try and attack at every point in his line, so that he has to invest his spears in there as well. And then once all of his units are in battle, I can send my cavalry, which have been waiting here for, like, since the start of the battle. They've been waiting here for so long. And they will finally charge into the backs of these units. Alright, so now he's finally gonna bring his matchlocks up. But he does a pretty bad thing with these here. So he left them in this area where there's this hill, and he had them by the Yari Ashigaru here. So in order for him to fire, he had to move up to on top of the hill. So by the time they got there, my Katana Samurai are already, like, just about there. He's only gonna get 1 volley off. And since he's in loose formation, that 1 volley is not going to be very good. When you go in loose formation, it spreads your units out a lot. So only this front row here of like 20 Matchlock Warrior Monks are actually going to be able to fire here. So what you can actually see here, they're going to fire into this Katana Samurai. Going to deal about 15 casualties. Nothing too big at all there. So now the lines are going to meet. He is sending this small group around. But since my Yaris don't have to worry about cavalry, they're just gonna block that. And now, all of his Yaris are in combat, so I'm gonna charge my cavalry in. And they're gonna go both for the bows. Over on this side, this one will go for the matchlocks over here. Because friendly fire isn't that big of a deal, so he's actually gonna fire into this Katana Samurai. So I'm gonna get a nice cavalry charge into that, and a nice cavalry charge into his general. I wanted to go for the bows, but the general got in the way, and I was just like, might as well charge into the general. He's only at 6 men now, 5 men. So he's gonna go down, and this flank collapsed for him. So now I'm just gonna move this and encircle him over here. So I'm just gonna completely encirclement, and he will have a mass rout. There we go. He definitely handled that battle pretty poorly. Although firing into my general with his bows technically worked, because my general fled the battle, he left my katana samurai pretty much untouched. He totally forgot about his matchlocks, or at least didn't use them at all for some reason. And when he did use them, he didn't use them to very much of an effect. And over here, as you can see, he totally wasted all of his cavalry in that one cavalry charge. That was just a really poor use of the cavalry there. And since he didn't have any cavalry, cavalry charges like the one I did over here, were unstoppable since his cavalry was all dead. They couldn't counter that. So yeah, that was a pretty nice battle. Now we will go on to Battle 2. Alright, now on to Battle 2. So this one's going to be pretty interesting. I'm going to pause it here. So if we look at the enemy's army, this is definitely not a large army. As you can see, it's just fresh melee infantry. Some are even just Yari Samurai. These are very, not cheap infantry, but for a large battle, this is definitely not a large army. And I've seen these armies before. They usually have a lot of cavalry. Sometimes they use ninjas, but most of the time it's cavalry in a forest. In this case, it'll be this forest. And what he's going to do is he's going to play very defensively. He's going to cross the river, but right after he does, he's going to turn around and retreat, probably hoping that I would chase him, and then his cavalry could get a nice little flank. But I noticed that he's playing really defensively, and obviously he's not going to rush my army, because I have 5 katana samurai, and he has 7 melee infantry, mostly Naginata samurai, which aren't the best, so he's not going to rush my army. And as you can see, he does play really defensively, retreating across the river, and he's going to sit here for most of the game. So I'm going to take my time and capture the buildings. So I just start off with 1 light cavalry, but then I move my whole army to take the farmhouse. So I actually take my time, so I'm going to fast forward to this. So then I move up to capture the next building. And I really take my time. Okay, so now, he's getting a little bit bored. I took, like, a good minute just capturing the buildings. So he's gonna send his army forward to try and bait me into attack. And what I'm gonna do is, I have these bows, and they're in range now, or they're going to be in range. And I'm just gonna fire my bows at his, units. So right after this first volley goes off, he charges his cavalry in as well. He's quite bored at this point, so he's gonna just send just an all-out attack. He's just not gonna defend anymore. He's not gonna wait for my attack. He knows it's not gonna come, so he's just gonna attack himself. And he does a really bad job. This is a good example on how not to use cavalry. First, he starts off with the cavalry charge, because cavalry is obviously faster than infantry. So the cavalry is going to come in first, and he has it split into 2 groups in wedge formation. I'll talk about wedge formation in a different video, but this is not how you use wedge formation here. So as you can see, I'm going to retreat my bows back, and then rapid advance my spears just in time, and he's going to charge straight into my spears. And they do a nice job of cleaning up his cavalry. But now his infantry is starting to arrive, but he's not going to attempt any flanking. He's just going to do a direct attack across my whole line. So I'm going to send my infantry forward now, and they're going to have a nice battle. And I have this cavalry over here. He was trying to capture the archery dojo, I think, but I sent him back, and he's just going to come around and attack from the back. I probably should have moved these cavalry around the flanks as well, but I didn't do that. And he's gonna do a pretty bad move again. So my general has actually, he's a bow general, and he's shooting at his general. So he's already down 19 men. And he is gonna go over here, where my light cavalry is gonna charge into his general. So, a pretty bad move there. I think he's gonna charge into my light cavalry, actually. Pretty bad idea on his part. So now his line is starting to waver. This is because, his infantry isn't really as good as mine. And I also did a small cavalry charge in there. They didn't go around the back, they just went straight into my own infantry. But it's still going to make him waver. So we both popped a rally at this point, but that's not really going to matter. He's going to have a mass rout, because his general routed. And as soon as his general routed, his entire army collapsed. And that is going to be the victory. He did not use his cavalry very well, yet again. He sent them all towards my bows, which was a really bad idea, because bow Ashigaru, especially when you only have 2 of them, is pretty much useless. I just had them in my army to fight if he would bring, like, bow cavalry, but other than that, they're useless, so there's no need to charge into those. And secondly, his charge, his actual cavalry charge, was really bad, because first they, around here, they got caught on his own units. And I just retreated my bows and replaced them with spears. So he pretty much wasted his only advantage there. So yeah, that was a pretty nice battle. Now we will go on to battle number 3. Alright, now for the last battle for this video, battle number 3. So this one is going to be a small battle against a rank 1. So he's gonna have a lot more money to spend, because my general costs about 1,500. His general's probably going to cost around 200, so he's going to have a lot more money than I will. So I just brought my pretty standard small army, 4 lone swords with some Naginata attendants and some light cavalry. He brought a pretty generic small army. 2 bow Ashigaru, 2 Yari Ashigaru, and 2 lone sword Ashigaru. But, that's roughly the size of my army, but he also has that extra money, because he doesn't have to spend all this money on a general. So, I was looking over here, and that's what I was thinking, like, he probably has something else. And over here, some cavalry pops out of the forest, and I did not see this coming at all. His spawn would be pretty much from here all the way over to here. So he puts all of his troops over here, and I'm kind of thinking, like, where his, if he has hidden cavalry, where it could be, but I only think about, like, near this army. I didn't expect it to be way over here, so I actually don't notice this for a very long time, and I move my cavalry up really close to these guys. I'm just kind of moving my cavalry up early. Originally, I wanted to move this one, like, over here, and then this one over here, because just like the first one, it doesn't look like he has cavalry. And although I thought he had some in the forest, I thought they'd be in, like, this forest. I didn't expect them from over here. So I start to encircle his, units. And then it's about now that I see his 2 Yari cavalry. Those are some really good cavalry. Light cavalry, it's good, but it's not the best. So he's actually going to charge his Yari cavalry, and he's not going to send both in. He's just going to send one in. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to retreat my my light cavalry, and he's going to do the same. And I'm going to bring my army forward. So now I'm kind of coming up with a plan. And pretty much the plan that I ended up coming up with is to move my army kind of out of the way of the cavalry. So, like, over here. But still also out of the way of the infantry. And pretty much just snipe the cavalry with my bow general. So I have my light cavalry here, so if he charges, I can countercharge with the general and the light cavalry. Now I start moving my army just out of the way, and I move my general into sniping position. I probably should have moved him a little bit further forward, but it doesn't really matter, because he's going to get this really crappy firing angle. He has to arc his shot like that. And when the arrows arc like this, they don't really do that much damage. So we're going to see that he only loses, like, a few minutes. Actually, wait, no, he gets out of the way of the arrows there, because that's another problem when they arc like that. They take forever to land. So he's going to actually get out of the way. But I'm going to chase him down with my general. If you use fire at will, you can move him and he will shoot automatically. So I'm going to chase his cavalry down. And actually, shortly, I will rout this cavalry unit here. Right here, he does something really pretty clever. If you remember, my plan was to snipe his cavalry, and if he would charge, I had my light cavalry. But he drew me back way over here, out of the way of the light cavalry, and now he does the charge. Unfortunately for him, my general does have a speed upgrade, so he's just gonna retreat, and he's slightly faster than the enemy cavalry. And when my light cavalry starts to charge, he retreats. And now he does something that I think he thought would work, because I have a bow general, and he technically has a bow general. It's rank 1, though, so it's just the really weak bow, no upgrades. So he thought that he could fire his bow general at my bow general. But before he can get the shot off, I'm going to rout this Yari cavalry here. Actually going to shatter this Yari cavalry here. And I also send my light cavalry to get his general out of there. And that cavalry will just about rout. There we go. So I did some pretty major damage to his cavalry there. I'm still gonna try and chase down his Yari cavalry. But he's moving his spears and I can't really chase him any further. So now, he has his general forward, and I'm just gonna try and snipe his general. He's gonna try and snipe my general. So we're gonna have a little bow duel. But his general is rank 1, and mine is rank 8. So his really crappy bow versus my really awesome bow. So I already sniped him a little bit, so he's already at 22 men. Let's see how fast I can hurt his general. So he's at 22 men, and that is 20 men, 19 men, and 17 men. So that was like 3 seconds, maybe 5 seconds. We'll say like 5 seconds at tops, like. And he's down 5 men. So that's like 1 man per second right there. Overall for him, he got 1 of mine. I'm not sure if that was actually his general, because he moves his bows up. And this is the only time where bow ashigaru are actually effective. And you need a clear firing angle so that the shot is not arced. They're all firing at the same unit. And it helps that the unit is also cavalry, because cavalry units are really weak to bows. So my general's actually going to start to take some damage from these bows. So they're going to get another volley off, and this one will deal quite a bit of damage. They're down 6 men. And if you only have 30 men in the unit, that's quite a bit. So I'm going to retreat, especially now that he's cavalry charging. So now he moved his bows forward to fire at my general. But he didn't move his spears forward. So I'm going to get a nice cavalry charge into here. He's going to move his cavalry forward, but he doesn't actually attack my cavalry. He's going to retreat. So I get a nice charge right into the back of these bows here. Gonna deal quite a bit of damage. It doesn't really matter because it's just bow ashigaru, but might as well do the charge. So his cavalry is finally gonna start to chase me. And he's gonna turn around shortly after. So I'm gonna turn around, and then right when I turn around, he turns around. So I'm gonna get a charge right into the back of his cavalry. And then I'm also going to send in my other light cavalry to help with that. and I'm gonna have my general fire at his cavalry. But now, right when the second light cavalry comes in, he is going to start to retreat, and he is just gonna escape because he gets past these Yari Ashigaru. So he was very lucky there, but that doesn't really matter anymore. So now I will be retreating my cavalry, and I will start the main attack pretty soon. So just by that, I shrank his cavalry down from 120 really good Yari cavalry to 22 Yari cavalry. Also damaged his bows a little bit, but that doesn't really matter. So now that he does not have very much cavalry, so I will be able to freely cavalry charge into the back of his units. So now the army will move forward. So now the Katana, or Lone Sword Ashigaru, I should say, are going to charge in straight into his Yari Ashigaru. Now, he should have put these in Yari Wall, because I've seen these in Yari Wall. I'm pretty sure they can actually beat a Lone Sword when they're in Yari Wall. But he doesn't do that. He's just gonna take the charge. The downhill charge, by the way. I'll talk about that later. And he's gonna send his Lone Sword Ashigaru around the flanks, which won't really work for him, because my attack plan was pretty basic. I would send this Lone Sword against this Yari Ashigaru, this Lone Sword against this Yari Ashigaru, and then these two would come around this side and attack him from the rear. And these two cavalry would come around this side and attack him from the rear. So he's going to send this Lone Sword around, which I will gladly attack with my cavalry. Pretty much, free cavalry charge there. And then the other one is going to go around. He's not going to attack the general. It would be helpful to remove his general, but I think it would be a lot faster to just cavalry charge into the backs of this main blob here. Over here, just like over here, he sent his Lone Sword around the side, and this actually blocked me from flanking him, because this hill here is too steep to go down, so they have to go down this one. And he blocked that, so now, I cannot flank on this side. I do get the flank on this side, though, and I'm gonna get a nice charge. It's uphill, but it's still a good charge into the backs of these units. I'm also gonna send my spears in to reinforce the line, and this, side here is gonna collapse on him. For most of this battle, actually, or not most of the battle, but most of the actual battle, when I send my infantry in, I forgot about my general, so he was back here. So we're gonna see, at least a little bit before, my light cavalry was wavering a little bit. But now, my general is here, and this side has collapsed, so I actually wanted to send this side over here, but this side also collapsed. And I just broke straight through. And his defenses are now completely gone. So I'm going to charge straight into his bows, and then his general will rout.
My lord, a glorious victory will soon be yours.
And there we go. So, the cavalry on his side was pretty okay for management. Putting them over here was it didn't work out for him too well, because my general sniped one of his units, but for some reason, after that unit got sniped, he still was sending his other cavalry around over here just to continue getting sniped by my general. He should have definitely left him back here for the main fight. And then with his regular army, he placed them on this hill here, on the downward area here. For like half the battle, we were not in combat, or at least the infantry was not in combat. He had so much time, all he had to do was move up a little bit further, and I wouldn't get a downhill charge. And that could have saved him. If I wouldn't get a downhill charge, he would have lived a little bit longer. And if he could have sent a cavalry around the flank, since I forgot about my general, that could have maybe saved it there. That's going to be it for this video, so don't forget to like and subscribe, and the question of the day is, do you like cheese?